Somebody was asking me the other day, what's the earliest that I can remember Goshen, Ohio? Well, the absolute earliest I can remember a little bit of Goshen here, I was about 2 years old, and this is going back to 1965. Yeah, 1965. I believe it was my Uncle Clifton. He worked at Ford Motor Company, my dad's brother. I don't know why I have a hard time trying to grab that R out of the word brother. I don't know why I have a hard time. I've always been that way. When I say brother, I can't get the R out. I don't know why. But anyway, my dad's brother. And that kind of drives me crazy because I hate not being able to pronounce a word correctly. But we rented a house there. He owned a house. My Uncle Clifton bought a house there on Smith Road down from Cedar Pay Lake. And I don't remember the Pay Lake at all. I do remember a little bit behind the house. I think there's a little hill. We'd go sled riding. Now, I tell you what I do remember pretty vividly, believe it or not. It's amazing how why I don't think I remember the cedar. But my dad used to go fishing over there, and he would take me with him. And what I do remember is being put on his shoulders. I can remember that pretty vividly. My dad picking me up and put me on his shoulders. I was, around his neck. And he would take his hands and hold my feet together so I wouldn't fall. And I can remember him telling me to grab around his neck. I can remember that pretty vividly. I remember him telling me, hold my neck, hold my neck. I can remember that. And we would walk over to Cedar Pay Lake, but I don't remember none of the lake. And the only reason why I say that, the only excuse I have is probably, I was an infant. Well, I was 2 years old. Might as well call me an infant. I was 2 years old, and I'm guessing I was just too afraid to look at the water. I can remember, he had a hot rod, my dad. I barely remember it. But it's so incredible how your brain picks things up when you're a kid. I can remember being on my dad's shoulders. And I can remember they bought me a horse, the spring-loaded horse things that kids ride. They brought me, I had one of those horsey. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I would ride that thing, spring-loaded. I remember that a little bit. I remember riding my spring-loaded horsey. And I remember I can remember my dad put me on his shoulders. I can remember that pretty decently good. But I cannot remember over at the Pay Lake my dad go fishing. That's incredible crazy. The only thing I can think of, and I apologize for all the noise here, traffic. The only thing I can think of is the water scared me. 2 years old, the water scared me, and I was afraid to look at it. That's the only explanation for it. I was just too afraid to look at the water because I don't remember none of the Pay Lake. No, but right across the road, it was down the hill and up, and the house is on the left. So when you left Cedar Pay Lake, you go down the hill, and you go up it, and for you locals, you'll see the house with a sharp roof. And now I tell you something else I do remember. Our neighbors. I always thought they were mean. Dad said, no. My dad was kind of surprised I remembered them. He said, no. He said, they wouldn't mean, they just drunk a lot. Dale was his name. Him and, his friends or whomever. I guess they loved their beer. And I can remember them. I can remember them being around me. I can remember them being around me and me being in the middle. I can remember that. But Dad was surprised one time I was telling him about that. He was surprised I remembered that. He said, no, they wouldn't mean. He said they just loved their beer. They drunk a lot. I remember those things. 1965, 1965. I remember that. I remember those things. But I do not remember the same time, same year. I do not remember the pay lake just a few hundred feet away. The only explanation, me 2 years old, I was just probably too afraid to look at the water.